So this one's going to be straight to the point because I have limited space. It's a bit of lighting. I want to talk about this. Roald Dahl's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, or the original title actually was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, published in 1964. I want to talk briefly, very briefly, about the two film adaptations. 1971, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, starring the late Gene Wilder, directed by Mel Stewart. 2005, directed by Tim Burton, starring Johnny Depp, and that went by the title of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Now, the Depp version done well, but I think overall I prefer the original, and for me it's not a thing of, oh, it's because it's the original. I think sometimes remakes can be better, sometimes not so much, sometimes sequels can be better. For me, it's not a case of first is best, but I've just watched the second one there, not for the first time, and I just couldn't get on board the approach that was taken in terms of the whole background thing with Willy Wonka's family background. I just thought it was a bit unnecessary. And as for Johnny Depp, I think he's a good actor in terms of playing quirky roles, but I'm not sure. I thought it was just a bit silly, his portrayal. It was a little bit too quirky for my liking. I think Gene Wilder managed to get him a little bit quirky, a little bit creepy, but also an authority figure. I don't think Depp captured that. I think he just made him out to be almost like a child in a man's body. Now, in a sense, that's what the character is, but I just prefer Gene Wilder's version. I think he somehow captured the role better. And I don't think in the second film the whole background was really that necessary. In terms of the other aspects, the children, I think I put them about equal in both films. I think in both films they'd done the role pretty well. They were broadly similar. In the second film, it was a whole wintry setting for the city. In the first film, it was a sort of Germanic setting. In the book, Dahl is deliberately a bit elusive about that. He doesn't name the city, just it's a big town, could be anywhere. In fact, where I usually think of is somewhere like Birmingham here in the UK. Birmingham does, in fact, have a real life chocolate factory, Cadbury's, which is a museum known as Cadbury's World. I'm going to round this up very soon. Um, I don't dislike the second film. I think it's got its moments, but overall, I think I prefer the first. So, how about you? Do you prefer the 1971 version or the 2005 version? Why? Um, I just think that Depp's portrayal of it, one of the critics described, and I don't often agree with critics, but I think she was right. She said that he was just trying too hard to be a bit weird, and whereas I think Wilder done it no more naturally. There was something about some of the little mannerisms that Depp's portrayal of it, of Willy Wonka, like bumping into glass panes and stuff, it just didn't get the whole point of that. And the whole family background thing, I understand why it was done, like why is this guy the way he is, but I just found it a little bit distracting. And I haven't, it's been a long time since I've read the book, so I'm not sure which film's more loyal to the book. But personally, I gave the first film the edge. The only critique I have of the first film, perhaps, is I would have made the factory bigger, and I would have made the town bigger because when the great glass elevator is flying over the town, it looks more like a sort of Bavarian mountain town rather than a big city. So maybe the second film captured that a little bit better. Although the whole winter setting, I'm not quite sure what that was about. But both films have their merit. I think my one last thing, Gene Wilder's character somehow reminds me of the Sixth Doctor, played by Colin Baker in the Doctor Who series. I don't know why. Maybe it's the costume, maybe it's the slightly gritty side of the character, the quick temper. But Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka and Colin Baker's Doctor Who, I see similarities. And I'll leave it there. Let me know which is your favourite and why.